a volunteer and speaking for the whole Recreation Committee, we cannot be happier than to have Maureen, Marty, and Lynn in place. They are professional. They speak back to the committee and tell us what they think. And with all the cuts that have had to take place over the years, they've bounced back through them. During the good years, they took advantage of the grants, and now, you know, we have a team in place that we believe can handle anything that's thrown at us. So I'm pleased to have worked with all of you over the years, and gratefully now turn you over to the Recreation Committee. Maureen, who's going to head up the team, and thank you very much. We're just ecstatic to have them in place now.
Thank you again.
I have one small handout to continue with that historical speech. So, would you like this handout? You might need that one. That just gives you an overview of the operating budget, where it's been and where it's headed. As Rita has said, I'm the new department head, and I work with the committee as well as the town-funded parks director, and I'm the operations director as well as the department head. Program and user fees fund the recreation director, a part-time secretary, a full-time parks position, and all the seasonal employees. Marty Tilton, our parks director, manages and is responsible for 2 full-time parks employees, one of which is currently not filled due to a hiring freeze, and approximately 7 seasonal employees each year. We maintain over 90 acres of parks and sports fields, and we purchase all the turf products and service our equipment and infrastructure through funds received from the parks and user fees. And many park and field capital improvements have been funded through our revolving account. We coordinate and schedule over 3,200 youth and adult league participants each year. We also coordinate any needed park use for school sports with the school athletic director. We evaluate our fees each season and raise our league and park fees as necessary, which we did on July 1st to address the FY09 budget cut that we suffered. Within the recreation department, we offer recreation programs, trips, or special events every month of the year with the commitment to maintain responsible costs. Recreation programs and employees are managed by Recreation Director Lynn Clemens. She oversees a part-time secretary and a recreation programmer. And each year she hires local seasonal employees, approximately 25, to facilitate numerous program offerings. Volunteers are used within the programming to control the costs. We have 1,137 people registered on our recreation software program. Our online recreation system allows round-the-clock access with the MasterCard and Visa program. In 2008, our website had over 13,000 hits to our homepage and over 22,000 hits to our recreation calendar alone. In 2008 as well, our spring and summer brochure, our most popular, was downloaded 688 times. You can also view events, forms, permission slips, maps, photos, all with the incentive to go green. The barbecue concert series runs 8 weeks each summer. We seek sponsorship donations and grants to offset the cost of the entertainment. The offerings are priced to generate revenues for the park system, but yet prices are set to be reasonable for the families and residents to afford. I am responsible for the finance and the office activities of both the Parks and Rec departments. My focus is placed on opportunities for revenue growth and efficiencies to reduce expenses. The proper accounting methods are used to ensure strict budgetary adherence. The budget, which you see before you, the 3% reduction request to our operating budget would only fund the Parks Director and the Operations Director salaries, department head salaries. The expense line item would be 0. We would have no expenses in our budget based on a 3% reduced budget. And if you look at the following handout, you can see that Parks and Rec, with the 3% cut to the fiscal year 10 budget, will be funded 15% lower than it was 10 years ago. So just as an added reminder, the FY09 operating budget cut that we sustained due to the failed override actually impacted our revolving budget by about $103,000 due to the fact that we had to pay for the recreation director salary, the parks employee salary that was cut from the DPW that we needed, and we have to pay fees that Medicare fees and health insurance for the benefits, so it impacted us $103,000. So we do request that no further cuts would be made to our because it would be, very difficult to increase our fees again on our user fee structure.
One question I have, you take credit card,
We do.
payments. You're not, was it the Little League that had the problem? You're not using the same approach?
No, our funds, that are swiped every day or going online go automatically.
The Little League got swiped.
Yeah, they did get swiped. Ours actually get deposited into Citizens Bank every night. They, go right
And that's
into the bank.
into the,
The very next day, they're in the bank. Treasurer is where.
And that's into the recreation revolving fund?
Yes, it goes into a separate account, at which time at the end of the month, I give the treasurer a report, and then I transfer it into the revolving. So it's in like a credit card reserve account that she knows, and we balance it every month, and then we slide it in at the end of the month once it balances.
And, with respect to the park and the bathrooms at the park, is that project moving forward?
It is.
And it's being funded by?
It will be funded by LUC, a request to Hillview, and Parks and Rec will probably pick up a small portion this spring out of its revolving budget.
What's the total amount of that project?
It's approximately $165,000.
165? And the Hillview had committed to
They've been requested to commit $60,000.
60,000, and the balance is gonna be paid by,
LUC account, and a portion of it will be Parks and Rec.
and it's being paid in cash or being bonded?
As far as LUC, it's cash, and Parks and Rec, it's cash. Hillview has been requested to, 60,000 too small to bond, so it is before them to determine what they were gonna do with it, based on the small amount.
I haven't heard much more about that, Steve, can you, like, say?
I know that, I believe they committed to it. I haven't heard the funding mechanism.
And the plan for that is to have it in place when?
By the end of summer,
Pretty around late spring. So,
it's an exciting project. Most frequently requested project.
So, it sounds like this is a project that's gonna pay, we're paying cash for. I mean, Hillview
There's
may
that.
be,
I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard exactly how they're about it yet.
I spoke to George yesterday. He was gonna work on it.
He's gonna work on it?
He's gonna work on it.
I guess, but, my understanding is they've committed to it, so it's still working through.
Right,
Yes.
that's what he said.
Yeah.
It'll be determined.
Joe?
Yes, on line 51-130, there's no figure in there, has that position been cut?
51.
Clerical.
Oh, I'm sorry. That
Clerical?
clerical is now into the non-union wages, that $106,854.
Oh, that position's up there now?
It's up in that one.
Oh,
It's a
okay, it looks like
non-union
it
now.
was being cut out.
That's exactly what happened to it. Just slid right up.
Any other questions
sorry.
regarding recreation?
What's the total budget, really, of recreation? I mean, this is what you're asking for appropriation-wise, but overall, what's the?
This is my understanding of what's come out of the revolving budget.
Well,
Yeah, there's more to it, I think, though.
There's more?
there is more to it. I do have a budget, a revolving budget, and I can hand it out if you'd like to see it. It's-
Yes.
You thought we might ask? Just happen to have a copy?
Just so happen. And there's probably a few extra, so I'll just pass them on. The left-hand side is the operating account, the right-hand side is a revolving account. It's the way I set it up every year.
Have you, met with the finance committee at this point? No.
No.
This is, they're here. You have copies, maybe, I'm sure they're gonna be looking for that. I saved you from asking. What? Oh, okay. Perhaps you could take us through this,
Sure. The top page is a summary page. The left-hand side, thank you, is the operating budget. So it just is salaries, $106,854. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what our operating account would encompass. The right-hand side, the summary page shows the summary of all the pages underneath it. But we basically are projecting revenue streams of about $362,000, and they're delineated in leagues, programs, enterprise, and parks and fields. Parks and fields would be rentals. Our programs are recreational, leagues are user fees, and enterprise could be the barbecue and also our concession stand and other small things we put in there. As far as the expenses, we're showing a balanced budget. We're doing our best. We're cutting a lot out. Special projects are cut out. We have an administrative line item. The administrative line item is basically under personnel, has salaries in it. We have an administrative, a parks, and an enterprise. It's detailed on page 2. And it shows $137,000 and $388 in personnel. And it's just delineated as followed on page 2. You'll see that there's the recreation director salary, the secretary, who's a union secretary, and park seasonal employees, as well as the DPW unionized employee that we picked up last year. That's $41,000. And then we go into our enterprise, which is our barbecue coordinators and our concession coordinators.
Could we go back to the first page for
Sure.
a second? In the FY '09, you have revenues of $341,000 and expenses of $460,000.
Right.
Am I reading this correct?
It is correct.
So there's $120,000
We spent down our
on
reserve.
the, so what's the balance in the?
Our current balance is $122,000, give or take, right now.
Okay, so you can't afford to do what you did last year again?
No, we don't have any most of our special projects right now are either done or on the docket to do in FY '09. We don't have any tens that are revolving budgeted, so to speak. They're either LUC or something like that, or we got the $50,000 that we received from the Berry project. That could be done in 10.
Well, wasn't that was dedicated to
The Mullen Field.
the Mullen Field, right?
Right. Right, we have 120, for FY '09, right now, our balance is 122,000, which, of that right now, I'd have to encumber the recreation director's salary for the next 6 months, the secretary's salary, the parks employee salary, benefits, Medicare fees. We have one project in FY '09, the Wheeler House, that we've dedicated $50,000 towards, as well as the final lease payment on one of our capital items, our top dresser. So that's our final payment, and that's $4,400. So that's $113,000 right there that would come out of that. We do have anticipated revenues in the spring, but out of the 122 right now, 113 would be encumbered.
Do you see, as a result of the economic downturn, a change in revenues, things falling off, or are these kinds of programs
it's
that
a
are
little-
revenue-proof?
My program,
Yeah.
I've been trying not to raise the prices on my programs. The last 2 years, I have not raised the prices for that purpose exactly, so that people can continue to use our programs. I've not seen a major cutback on what people are using. I've just seen more expenses. We've got more expenses now where I have to put money into cleaning some of the buildings and taking care of some of the buildings because the budget's not in the town to do it, and I need to do it in order for my programs to run in it. So really, the overall users has not dropped tremendously lately. It seems to have been kept right at a level number. It's
We're
just
at our
some of our
projected
expenses
level.
have gone up with it.
The spring will be, to us, the telltale sign, because when we increased the user fee for the youth leagues, it went up considerably. And the spring will be the first season, which is a peak season for us for revenue stream, to see if there's any setback to that, people saying I can't afford it, or I'm just not gonna do it. So we'll know more by the end of the spring, based on how many people sign up for the leagues, because it's gonna be far more expensive.
Well, I would comment on the level of detail in the revolving